I'll either take you to jail, or you can go into your ex-mother-in-law's house, get some towels, and walk with me down to this lake here and allow me to baptize you.
History is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Saudi Daisy woman at center of deputy baptism lawsuit found dead in home Wednesday. Okay, so this is essentially a follow-up to another story that I wish we would have caught earlier, because it happened, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, that this lawsuit that was described in the headline was given the go-ahead to go forward. I just found an article in the Chattanooga Times Free Press. Judge okays lawsuit against ex-Hamilton County deputy for baptizing woman after traffic stop. So what happened? What you're asking yourself? The woman in question, the deceased woman, her name was Shandell Marie Riley. She was 42 years old. Back in 2019, she was stopped for a traffic stop by a deputy sheriff, Daniel Wilkie. He pulled her over just outside of her ex-mother-in-law's home. It wasn't clear exactly what the stop was for. I imagine it was something relatively routine, and she was so close to home. Maybe he was following her for a little bit if she was speeding or ran a stop sign or something simple like that. That's surely what it seems like. It's usually, I wouldn't imagine typically getting pulled over right outside your final destination, but it certainly happens. If it's in like a residential area, maybe you made a boo-boo and, rolled through a stop sign, and then the cop follows you home. A little creepy in and of itself, but not completely unheard of. But what is completely unheard of is that the deputy, asked her probably typical round of questions, and she admitted, just don't do this, people. Just don't do it. It's just, you don't have to do it. Don't do it. She admitted that she had a marijuana roach in her cigarette pack. You just don't do that. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shame the dead here, but it's just, they have no right to search you. I guess that's the probable cause. They certainly can, I suppose. But then if you are found to have had your rights violated, they can be upheld by a court. But we are talking about pretty rural part of the South, where sort of the network of good old boy stuff that extends all the way up to the courts, unfortunately, a lot of times.
And if you consent to a search, probable cause goes out the window.
100%. Exactly. Thank you. So you just say no. If they force it upon you, you at least have that future protection if probable cause did not truly exist. It's always easy for a cop to say they smell marijuana. Didn't sound like that was the case, though. It sounded like a lot of times they'll say, do you have any drugs in the car, or do you have any weapons or whatever? And some people that maybe don't know their rights well enough will give that stuff over, and it's just not, it doesn't like absolve you of the consequences of having it. So the sheriff deputy said, okay, well, I'm going to give you an ultimatum. I'm going to give you a choice here. I'll either take you to jail, or you can go into your ex-mother-in-law's house, get some towels, and walk with me down to this lake here and allow me to baptize you in the water.
Ooh.
And I mean,
the parade of red flags.
It's,
just
I mean, first of all, I just would feel, can you imagine how you would feel in that situation? Especially if you're like vehemently anti-religion or anti, I would feel violated on so many levels. Like,
I would say yes, but just because I don't believe in it, honestly.
I 100%. Of course, I would say yes. And I don't believe in what it stands for, the meaning behind it. But it's essentially the same as being asked to bend over and bark like a dog. I mean, it's the same as being. It's a form of humiliation, I would argue.
It's even incredibly illegal.
It's incredibly illegal. So that happened. And when she walked into the house, the mother was like, "What are you doing?" She goes, her quote from her is, "I guess I'm fixing to get baptized." I have to say, there's an article about this in Religion News Services. Well, it doesn't come right out and say this guy sucks and did a thing that makes the rest of us, religious folks look bad. It reported on it pretty even-handedly, and definitely was not like he was out there doing God's work, because that is not what that is. That is absolutely an act of coercion, and that is how it is being tried. So essentially, the woman filed a lawsuit against the deputy, and his buddy, by the way. He had his buddy, who's another deputy, come and join. I guess you got to have like an assistant for a baptism. I didn't think
the statement that was given, why I think his name's Jacob Goforth.
That's right.
Was the other deputy?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The statement that was at least given or in this article was that
he filmed it. He was there to film it.
Well, there had to be a witness or for the baptism to be, I guess, legitimate or something in the eyes of Wilkie, the guy who did it.
Okay, well, that's what he was there for, and he also apparently filmed the whole thing on his cell phone camera, and also reportedly in the same Religion News article, they describe it very matter of factly. Wilkie stripped down to his underwear and t-shirt and waded into the water. That's creepy in and of itself. And Riley, fully clothed, followed. Wilkie baptized her by immersion as Goforth filmed the event from his cell phone. Goforth later said that he filmed the event to protect all persons present and document the event. Okay. I don't see how it's protecting anybody. In any case, so there's a film that this reminds me of. I mean, I'm not meaning to be extreme and making the domination, connections, but that's how it feels to me. There's a movie called Coercion. I believe that's what it's called. It basically is about a dude that like robs a fast food restaurant and holds a young fast food restaurant employee hostage in the back of the restaurant just by like making these escalating requests. Eventually it ends up in just the most like degrading, humiliating circumstances you could possibly imagine. But it's like a frog boiling in water. You don't even know you're being abused until you think back on it, or you realize, oh, I'm tied to a chair or whatever it is, or, oh, I'm out in the water with this weird dude in his underwear. I mean, I fully think this is a power play. It's like, and that is how she characterized it in the lawsuit. She referred to it as it was not about saving her soul, but about power and control. And it was not long before the body was discovered that a Tennessee judge gave the go-ahead for this lawsuit against the ex-Hamilton County deputy to move forward. So, of course, I found this on a Reddit thread, and conspiratorial chatter is kind of going nuts, implying that this man hired somebody to kill this woman for ruining his life, whatever. That's how they would perceive it, I suppose. That he had a sibling or something that did it. There's a lot of talk about that kind of good old boy mafia mentality in that part of the country. A lot of possibilities, but it's a very troubling story. On a lot of levels, because I really do feel myself getting more and more worked up about it the more I talk about it, because that is just a flagrant abuse of power, especially for a crime that already should be a non-issue. You're going to use that against somebody, threaten them with, potentially life-ruining situation, and arm twist them, into doing something that you want them to do that they have no wherewithal to actually do. I just find it really despicable.
And it's strange, too, because, for anybody unfamiliar with Hamilton County, like we said, we don't want to be unfair or paint with a broad brush. But there are plenty of firsthand experiences people have had, locals as well as visitors to the area, with clear bias on the part of law enforcement. Everybody who works in law enforcement in that area, of course, they're a human being. They have their own personal beliefs. But the question is, are they capable of separating those beliefs from the day-to-day duties of their job?